You are now listening to the Generation Christ podcast. I am Thomas Collier. Along with me today, once again, Brandon Ellis. How's it going, Brandon, man?
It's going good, Thomas. How you been, man? I haven't seen you at work this whole week, pretty much, except for maybe an hour or two at the end, man.
No, it's been a Zoom meeting week for me, doing a lot of at home on the old laptop, doing the new Zoom meetings. I know nowadays, I think everyone has had to get on Zoom for something. This climate that we're in, this current COVID-19 that just won't go away. We're a year into this thing here in America. It won't go away. Still having to do Zoom meetings and stuff like that for work. It's different, man, and it's definitely not something I'll ever get used to. And I mean, every time I walk into a store, I know I'm supposed to have my mask on, but for some reason, I don't have it on every time I go into a store, it seems like. And I have to stop halfway through the parking lot and realize, I don't have my mask on. I see everyone else does. Yeah. So I have to go back, get my mask.
Yeah.
That sort of thing, man, I still struggle with.
I'll never get used to it.
I'll never get used to it, man.
I don't think I'll ever get used to it. I don't really want to get used to it. You know?
Exactly.
I remember when this first happened, man. Well, not when it first happened, but when our government itself first started to address the situation, man, they said 2 weeks. Right? I remember that. I think everybody remembers that, where they told us in 2 weeks, it'll all go back to normal, everything will be good, right? 2 weeks turn into a year.
Right.
And, I think that speaks a lot to when you put your faith in the words of a man. You know, Thomas, when you think, okay, well, this guy, he's in charge of what's going on now, and he says 2 weeks, right? And everybody puts their faith in him. And then that 2 weeks turns into a month. Right. And then, everybody's like, okay, well, that's fine. I'll put my faith in him again. And that month is 3 months, 6 months, a year. Now it's going on. They're saying, I'm hearing some people say it'll never go away. We'll never be able to stop wearing masks and this and that, right? And that's why I feel like it's really important not to put your faith in a man, right? Because men change their minds. Men are swayed by everything that goes around them.
Right.
Right? The climate that man is in can change, and that will affect what they choose to say or do. And,
well, the military can even change the climate now.
Oh, right.
I mean, even going back to Vietnam, they were supposedly changing the weather.
Operation Popeye, man. That was a declassified operation where they cloud seeded during monsoon season. And according to the records, it actually extended monsoon season for at least a few weeks, if not a few months, I think. But, yeah, so, it's more important to put your faith in God. And that's the point I was trying to get at, is, God doesn't change. God does not change his mind. When he says 2 weeks, he means it, right? It won't become 2 weeks in a day or an hour. It'll be 2 weeks,
Right.
And I think with everything going on right now in the world just being so crazy that everybody's kind of been distracted away from God and putting their faith in God. And I have trouble with that too sometimes, man. I get so wrapped up in the political climate or seeing the things that happen on just the micro level, worrying about, what am I going to do if I lose my job? Or, what am I going to do if gas is $5 a gallon again? Right? Or, I see food prices rising. I start to worry about those things, and I start to listen more to what men say instead of what God says, right? And God tells you to trust in him, right? He tells you when you're worrying about that food, right? When Jesus was asked about, what shall we eat? He says, does God provide for the sparrows, right? And how much more worth are we to God than a sparrow? So,
right.
You just got to kind of reflect and step back and pull yourself away from all the craziness that's going on. And even though that's still going on, realize that God is in control and put your faith in him and not in man.
Yeah, and Jesus even spoke of that. He spoke how you should build yourself on a solid foundation. Mm-hmm. And that's what you're doing with God. You're building your life on a solid foundation. And anytime, Brother Brandon, when we go through troubles like all of us have been going through, if you're going through those problems and you don't have God, you are up against Satan. And you look at Job. I know we talk about Job a lot, and to me, it's one of the most important books in the Bible. And I find myself telling people a lot about Job and how they should read the book of Job, because I've had so many people come to me and tell me their struggles, and they may say, I'm dealing with loss, I'm dealing with people constantly persecuting me or bringing me down, saying I'm doing this wrong or this. And the advice I usually end up giving is, have you read the book of Job? Just check it out. Go read the book of Job, because I think you will relate to that. And I myself have related to Job's story, and I think that's another reason why I tend to pick that story out and give it to people and let them sit on it and read it and really think about it, meditate on it. And when you look at Job, how everything seemed to be going wrong for him, and Satan thought that Job would turn on God, or he would at least speak against God. But Job stayed strong, even when there were friends of his that were telling him, look, man, look how bad this is. Look, you had to do something wrong, giving him all this trouble, but he stayed strong. And that, Brother Brandon, is what we all have to keep in mind right now, because I do honestly believe that everyone is going through something right now.
Yeah, man.
And this isn't the first time that's happened. That's just life. It's going to be that way. We've spoke about it many times. I told you before, Brother Brandon, you're either in a problem, you just got out of a problem, or you're about to go into a problem, and that is life. Yeah. So don't go through life without God. You need God.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed with a lot of kids, my age or younger, and a lot of them, at least that I know, they don't have a relationship with God. A lot of them don't believe in God too. And, man, they're struggling right now, right? Because there's so much going on, it's like they're going insane, right? Because not only are some of them dealing with, family losses or friend losses, like people just dying, whether it be from coronavirus or regular health issues, cancer, things like that, or, even, mentally unstable people who are killing themselves because of the lockdowns or not making any money, or their whole world is crumbling. I know a ton of people who are going through relationship issues, right? Because this is a really trying time for relationships. And you think about it, especially in some of these places that have like way stricter lockdowns than the ones we're at, where you pretty much just have to be in your house.
Right.
If you're living with somebody and you're constantly around them like that, you're gonna butt heads, and it'll probably butt heads more. And so that's putting a ton of strain on relationships, man.
Yes.
And on top of that, a lot of these people, I'm sure, are worried about paying bills and rent, right?
Yeah.
Feeding themselves, man. And, that's why you really do have to trust in God, because if you don't have anything bigger than you that can really get you through this, man, you have nothing, and you're going to crumble. Yes. You're going to succumb to the pressure and the problems and just that mental and physical devastation that comes along with being hit over and over and over and over again by all these issues and not having anything big enough to protect you or be on your side or to get you through it.
Right.
And that doesn't mean, like I was saying, man, it doesn't mean that even though you have God, you're not going to have those problems. Because you're going to go through those same problems, but it's going to be different. The outcome is going to be different. Your mindset on it's going to be different. And God is going to provide for you, whereas the other people who don't have God are going through this, they're going to not have any hope, man. They're just going to be hopeless, and they're going to get stuck in this horrible mindset all the time and constantly that the world is awful and nothing is worth anything. Like, why even be here? And that's because they haven't built their house, their temple, right? Because the body is the temple. They haven't built it on that solid foundation of God. They've built it on the sandy foundation of the world.
Right.
And right now, the sandy foundation of the world is being shaken. And if you've ever built a sandcastle, right, if you were to shake the sand around it, that castle will crumble.
Right.
Right. But if you build a castle on a rock, it's going to stand more firm than anything else.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, could you imagine going up against sin without God and thinking that you're going to overcome that sin or you're not going to give into that sin? You know, if you do not have God and you are married and you're presented with someone who is pursuing you, maybe a coworker, maybe someone who said they were just a friend, maybe just someone that you randomly meet, and they start coming on to you, they start flirting with you, man or female, and it works for both sides is what I'm saying here, man, female, either way. If someone's coming at you and you're already taken, you're already married, and you don't have God, good luck not cheating on your spouse. Good luck overcoming that temptation. Same thing going with drugs. Someone's presenting you with drugs. It's a quick and easy fix. You've been in pain. You've been struggling. Here, I've got some drugs right here that'll help you out. If you don't have God, you're more likely to just say, yeah, okay. But someone who has God with them, then you can say no. It's you have that foundation to say no. Whereas without God, like you said, Brandon, you're on the sandy shore and those waves are coming in. Yeah, maybe they might not take you out, but there's a good chance that they will because you're not on a solid foundation. With God, it's less likely to happen. Not that it won't happen, but it's less likely to happen that you'll fall into sin. You'll fall into that temptation because you're on that strong foundation. And, you know, speaking of that, Brandon, I've got a story to tell here.
Okay.
Because I feel like it goes into what we're talking about here. Now, the place I'm staying at now, the home I'm living in, last night, we just had someone run off the road. They were drinking and driving. They ran off the road and ran right into our home. Luckily, the car didn't come through too far. No one was injured. Even the people that were in the vehicle, it was just some minor injuries. But drinking and driving, drove through our home. I'm so thankful that God was protecting us. No one was hurt. My children were in the home at the time. And it's a scary thought, but you see how easy it is for a vehicle to just run off the road and just run right through your home like that. It's bursting right in. And I'm thinking about that in a spiritual way too, where it's just that easy. You're just sitting there. Everything seems to be normal. And that sin can just pop up out of nowhere. That temptation can just pop up out of nowhere. And without God, it's coming on through. It's bursting on through. It's breaking down the door and it's coming on in there. And good luck doing anything about it. And when I think about what happened in that terrible accident where someone ran through our home, I'm not just thinking about us, you know. I'm thinking about my family in that situation. But I'm also thinking about, it was two young ladies. They both were drinking. They were coming back from somewhere, a club or whatever, or wherever they were at drinking. And they ended up in our home. So I'm thinking about those two young ladies also. And I'm thinking, okay, these two young ladies, this happened at it was probably 1 o'clock in the morning when this happened. These two young ladies are out at 1 o'clock in the morning. They've been drinking. They decided to get behind the wheel, and then they decided they were going to come through our living room. Now, Brother Brandon, I believe that if those two young ladies had built their foundation on something solid, something strong like God, I don't think they would have been out at 1 o'clock in the morning unless it was an emergency. They definitely wouldn't have been drunk. And even if they had a little bit to drink, they probably would have said, I don't want to